Hey everybody, Erica Serwin here from Pink Buckaroo Designs. I recently read that Valentine's Day was the #2 holiday for card sending. Did you know that? Well, I didn't know that, and you know what? I've been slacking because I haven't been sending Valentine cards. So this year I am jumping on the bandwagon and I'm going to send Valentine cards. I am going to show you how to make one for yourself. This one is super cute. It features the nuts and bolts stamp set. Now, you know, the sentiment says I'm nuts and bolts about you. Super cute, but not necessarily happy Valentine's Day. So I guess this could go for, you know, something else. And if you change the colors, maybe it wouldn't even necessarily have to be Valentine's Day. All right, let's get started. We're going to use Stampin' Blends to color our little robot. But I think first we're going to do that really cool background. I am using one of the masks from our Plenty of Patterns masks, which you can find in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. And we're going to use a blending brush and basic gray ink to put the pattern on this piece of cardstock. I have cut a piece of cardstock a little bit bigger than I need. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to cut it down when we're done. I always like to make it a little bit bigger so that if I have any funky edges, which sometimes happens with the tape, then I can just cut them off. This is Post-it tape that I am attaching the mask. I put a little bit of adhesive underneath the cardstock to adhere it to my grid paper, just a tiny bit, just to hold it in place. And then I put a little bit of Post-it tape down there. With my blending brush, I'm going to get some ink from my pad. I'm going to start over here on the edge so that I don't have any hard edges with my brush when I go around. Sometimes when you set your blending brush down, it leaves kind of a splotch, kind of like that. So I always like to try to start over here to get any heavy ink that I might have picked up off of my blending brush. All right, I'm going to go around carefully. You don't want to lift up that mask at all, so don't be too rough. And you can go for as long as you want, depending on how dark or how light you want it. I think I'm going to just stop right there. I don't want it too terribly dark. Let's see how it looks. Ooh, that looks amazing. All right. So now we'll peel that up. And I'm going to grab my trimmer. And we will cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4. See how we kind of have a weird funky edge over here? Sometimes I don't pay attention to the edges of my paper when I'm using a mask. So I always kind of like to give myself a little wiggle room so I can cut off any of those weird edges that might not have gotten inked all the way. All right, now before I put this on our card base, I'm going to add a little more detail to it. I was just thinking kind of like nuts and bolts, like a little, you know, dots in metal where they, you know, screw in the screws. So I thought, let's take our black Stampin' Right marker, and I'm just going to add some dots to a few of these sections. Not all of them, but just a few. I'm using just the pen end of my Stampin' Right marker. It also has a brush end, but I think the pen end will give you these perfect little dots. So go through here and just kind of put some. Remember that your robot's going to be right there in the middle. So you don't want to do any, you know, where it'll be totally covered up, which I may have done with that one. No, I think that one will show a little bit. Let's come down here and do this one. I like how this gray kind of is lighter in the middle parts of each pane. It's really kind of cool. This mask makes me think of a planetarium or a, I don't know, a glass house or something. It's really neat. All right, maybe up here. And then we'll call it done. Now I, like I said, am using real red for Valentine's. But if you Google cute robots, you will find robots come in every color under the sun. That's what I did because I kept thinking robots had to be gray, but they don't. They can be any color that you want them to be. All right, let's put this on our real red card base. like that. There we go. Now, let's do our cute little robot. I have got a piece of basic white thick, and I'm going to stamp him in Memento black. I'm using Memento because I'm going to color with alcohol markers. Now, the measurements for these pieces are over on my blog. You can click the link here on YouTube. It'll take you back over to my blog where there's a free PDF. It also has 2 other nuts and bolts projects as well for you. All right, let's start with our light real red. And I'm going to do his body down here. I'm just going to color it all in. Now, these markers are different than the Stampin' Write markers. The Stampin' Write markers are the same ink as our ink pads, but the Stampin' Blends are alcohol markers. They blend really well. They're not going to leave any marker streaks. They're really fun. They make everybody look like a really good colorer. All right, now I'm going to take my dark, and I'm just going to kind of go along those lines to add a little bit of dimension, like that. And then I'm going to come back, blend it down a little bit. The edges of our robot would be lighter, the outside edges. So we're going to leave those a little bit light. All right, now let's come up here under his eye and do his face. I have to be really careful going around those eyes. I prefer to use this small bullet tip end of my marker. I feel like I have a whole lot better control there than the brush end. I use the brush end for bigger spaces. All right, so I'm putting a shadow on the right side of his face like that. And we'll blend that down a little bit with a light. All right, now I'm just going to take the dark and color his little feet and his claw arms. These parts up here, like that. And I think we'll also do these little parts. I noticed I missed his neck on my original card, so don't forget his neck. All right, now to add a little bit more dimension to him, I'm going to take my color lifter and just put a little bit of the color lifter right here to give him a little bit of a shine. Okay, and then at the top of his head as well. That'll take up some of that color and look like he has a little bit of a shine to him. All right, now let's take our smoky slate light marker and color in his little flower. And now we're going to mount him on a basic black piece of cardstock. It's just a 1/4 inch bigger than the white piece. All right, and we're going to bring this over here, grab my dimensionals right here. All right, I have cut a piece of silver foil. It's just a 1/4 inch long. We're going to give this, is going to be kind of like the platform that he's standing on. So he's not just floating around in space. He's actually standing on something. All right. And then I have a stitched heart cut with the Give It a Whirl dies. Real red also. We're going to use a mini dimensional for that guy. Put that right there. Now for the sentiment, we're going to stamp that in real red on basic white. And I'm going to cut this apart. I'm going to cut all the words apart. You can use your scissors or a trimmer. I think I'm going to start out with my trimmer and then use my scissors for the rest. All right, isn't that a cute saying? I'm nuts and bolts about you. All right, let's see if I can cut these apart like that. There we go. Now I can clean it up with my scissors. All right, I'm just gonna cut them out. Do you remember when we were kids and we would cut out words from the magazine? That's what this always reminds me of. We cut out letters and words. Let's see, I'm gonna keep those together. And then I'm is real little. All right, let's turn it all over. Put many dimensionals on there. I'm gonna start with a big one. Put that right there. That one. And I'm not worrying too much about them being straight because they, you know, are kind of meant to be a little wonky. I'm nuts and bolts. It kind of looks like kids' handwriting. About you. This would be a great kid card, don't you think? If you have a grandchild or a niece or nephew, I think this would be a great card for them. All right, we're not quite done. We got to add a little bit of bling always. These are our rhinestones. I'm going to put one right in the middle of the flower, and then I'm just going to add some more around my card to give it a little bit of, just a little bit of fun like that. And, oh, you know what? Let's put one on the heart too. Whoops. Let's see if I can get that off. There we go. There we go. All right, and there's your card. Let's look at the original. So fun. I hope you guys love this project. Remember to jump back over to my blog, grab the free PDF, and check out the other two projects. Let me know if you have questions, everybody. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.